Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So Kamala Harris still does not have a policy platform. She's been running for president for about 3 weeks and she has not unveiled anything in terms of her agenda for the country until last night when she was in Nevada. And she was giving a speech and she mentioned her first new policy that she came up with for her entire campaign up to this point. It's been 21 days. You know, she won't sit in front of the media. She gives the same speech on script, time and time again at every single possible event. It's the same exact thing. We see it across the country. And now she has basically resorted to plagiarism and unoriginality. Listen to this, her first policy that she is proposing. We'll play the clip.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
So here's the deal. Donald Trump was the one to come up with that policy. He came up with that policy about, 2 months ago. And it was a signature part of his brand for 2024, no taxes on tips. Kamala Harris has come out and she has completely just ripped it off, apparently. She's unoriginal. She's fake. Back in 2019, all she would do is she would rip off the far left's policy. She supported the Green New Deal. She supported, socialized medicine, etc. Now she is ripping off Donald Trump's policy. Some people could say, well, it's a popular policy overall. She's just, co-opting it or whatever. But either way, it's not a good look for her. It's not, because it just shows how fake she is. She's ripping it off, even with the border policy. She broke the border. Now she wants to claim that she's the real one who's tough on the border. Doesn't work that way. And in terms of this whole taxes on tips thing, here's the deal. It's hypocritical. You look at Biden, you look at Harris, their administration cracking down. They're weaponizing the IRS to crack down on tips. So already you're kind of seeing how this is working out. She's just going out there. She is giving these empty promises. She's flip-flopping all over the place. Back in 2020, she was open to abolishing ICE, to funding the police, you name it. She co-sponsored the Green New Deal. Now she's kind of trying to run away from that. And it's just shameless. This does not come off as something that's going to help her whatsoever. Her supporters can be like, oh, well, that's her policy too. They've been in office for 4 years. It does not hit the same. And if anything, this is an L for her because it just shows how fake she is. She's just ripping it off shamelessly, plain and simple. And she's not even doing it in a way where, she's coming off genuine, saying, I agree with President Trump on this. No, she's just trying to pass it off like it's her own thing. It just does not sit well with the median voter. Whenever a politician goes out there and does this, it's true. She does not have a vision for the country. She's just trying to say anything at this point to get elected. And that's not something that usually works out for you, especially in this day and age. Flip-flopping does not work out for you. Ask Mitt Romney how it worked for him. Ask John Kerry how it worked for him. It did not work out very well. Kamala Harris is definitely doing everything she can to kind of, I guess you would say, add herself to that laundry list of names of flip-floppers that have gone out there and just completely flamed out. And it's true that early voting starts in about a month and a half in certain states, but there's already signs that she's flaming out. Already, you have Kamala Harris going out there and ripping off a policy that is popular that was recently proposed by the opposition. If you are a winning campaign, if she's truly surging, you don't do that. That's not how winning campaigns operate. That's not how winning campaigns act. And everybody knows it. And this is literally it. Kamala Harris, she's the kid in class. She's copying the answers of Donald Trump. She's trying to do it on the border. It's not working, even though she really hasn't released a policy position on the border. And she finally releases a policy position, and it's literally just ripped off from Donald Trump. And I know that the Culinary Union now supports it. But keep in mind, when Donald Trump came out in favor of that, the Culinary Union just said, oh, this is something that's just an empty promise from what they said, a convicted felon, like that actually matters to any of their service workers. And this is the problem with unions. They're just embedded into the Democrat Party. But Trump is still gaining among union workers. He's probably going to do very well with those culinary union workers compared to 2020, and they know it, which is why they're freaking out. And even Steve Sisolak in 2022, with the whole lockdowns thing, even though he had the backing of a lot of these union bosses, the workers, they don't exactly feel the same way. It's just like the auto workers in the auto workers unions. It's just like what we see in a lot of these, unions over in, Western Pennsylvania. Other Republicans in the past did struggle with them, but these union workers, they really gravitate towards Donald Trump, even if they're not fully embracing all Republicans. And Democrats are in a lot of trouble because Nevada is a state, and it's probably not going to be the state that determines the outcome of the election because it's only 6 electoral votes. But it's still a prize that you would like to have in your column. Let's say Donald Trump falters in the state of Georgia, for example, but he wins Pennsylvania and he wins Wisconsin. If you get Nevada at that point, you cross 270. That's still a path to victory for him that avoids Georgia. I still think Trump is going to win Georgia, but if there is one of those swing states where Biden was uniquely weak in, that Harris might be able to do significantly better, it probably would be Georgia due to higher black female turnout. But we don't even know if it's even going to be that high to begin with. We have a lot of unanswered questions. A lot of people are panicking, but we do have raw data. And this is kind of the most important thing because you look at the election in 2020 and Joe Biden led Donald Trump in the state of Nevada in the final tally by what seems to be 32, not even 1,000 votes. So he had a lead. He won by just a slim margin, but I mean, it is decisive in a state that only has 1.4 million voters. He won by 2.4 percentage points. Now, here's the deal. That's not really looking all that good for the Democrats. Voter registration data, which this is not updated, and it's looking worse for them since, especially in Arizona and Florida, where Republicans have recently crossed the million voter threshold lead, which is huge. But you look at Nevada, already that margin went from, in terms of registered voters, which is not fully indicative, but it's a very clear sign in a very close state how it's moving. And you saw it go from Democrats with nearly a 90,000 voter registration advantage back in November of 2020, and now it's 30,000, probably now a little bit less than 30,000 registered voters, and it's showing no signs of stopping in terms of the trend. So already nearly double the margin needed for a Trump victory. You see the shift already. Nevada's moving right. That doesn't even take independents into account. So they know they're in trouble. Their internal polls are not showing what even the public polling is showing. It's true. They're celebrating over a very left-leaning pollster that got released in North Carolina showing a dead heat. And it's like, that's not exactly a good place to be in because Biden at this point in 2020 was up there in the regular aggregate, not some left-leaning internal, by 4-point-something percentage points. So it's ridiculous when you look at this and you see them try to spin this publicly as, oh, everything is fine, we're going to destroy Trump, it's over, and even so many on the right buy into this, when in reality, they're struggling. They know they're peaking. And it's possible that the more publicity they get with the DNC, their lead may be unsustainable. They're hoping for a convention bump. Is it possible you could even see the inverse? I think they're currently kind of having that honeymoon phase, their convention bump. I don't know if it's going to be all that plausible to, continue and then spike again. But even so, if it spikes again, it's going to be a temporary spike. Donald Trump is not losing any voters to this fraud. This election comes down to turnout, which is why it's important for people to get out and vote. And Donald Trump in his campaign, he's working on some stuff, it seems, and he's going to be hitting the campaign trail in about a week or two a lot more vigorously than he's been hitting it recently. He's wanting to wait until the DNC and things like that. Kamala Harris, technically, she's going to get enshrined as the nominee at that point. But in terms of the state of this race, you have somebody in Kamala Harris who is entirely fake. You have somebody that's her running mate that is even arguably faker and even more of a liar. And Donald Trump has somebody who's very smart. He's very articulate in JD Vance. And today, he went on every single liberal media outlet and he took these tough, hardball interview questions and he just knocked them out of the park every time. It was incredible, honestly. And a lot of people said, well, Trump made the wrong decision or whatever, because either they didn't like his energy or they saw him as kind of a double down pick that doesn't add anything to the electorate. But you have an articulate individual who's going out there, and while Donald Trump is not going out there, he's being that attack dog, and he's really coming into his own. And Democrats don't know what to do exactly. I mean, they've made up a lot of lies. They've taken everything out of context that they could. These past clips of JD Vance, it's not quite working, because he goes out there, people see him in the media, and they see him as somebody who's smart, somebody who's articulate, and somebody who can defend Donald Trump's record. That's what you need in a VP pick, and he's doing it. And you look at this. He went out there and is attacking Tim Walz, the running mate, who's a liar for Kamala Harris, very effectively.
Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain.
Exactly. And that's 100% true. It goes on and on. He took a lot of hardball questions. But Tim Walz is a liar. He said he was in Afghanistan when he never was in Afghanistan. He said, we need to ban these guns because I carried them in war. And then he never went to war. So he's lying about his service for political gain. And Vance is somebody that can call him out on it. Democrats think that Vance is like a bad VP pick or something. Yeah, they're not exactly going to really enjoy the 90 minutes of the VP debate if Tim Walz even decides to show up to it. These jokes about a couch, which is just a fabricated hoax, they can only go so far. And while they may find them funny, the average voter's struggling with real problems like immigration, the economy, you name it. And that's got to be the message. Vance is very articulate. He did a great job on CNN. He went on ABC, I believe, and he went on CBS, and he took interviews. He takes these interviews from these networks that are extremely hostile. Could you imagine Kamala Harris or Tim Walz going on Fox and then going on Newsmax and then going on One America, or maybe getting interviewed by some of these like more freelance right-wing creators, more decentralized media channels like myself? Absolutely not. They would never do it because they know that they would not be able to handle it. But Trump takes questions from reporters. JD Vance is just going on these networks that are super hostile. He goes on CNN and he makes a fool out of CNN. They're probably not even going to have him back and on anymore just because he was able to answer every question correctly and then some. So you kind of see what's going on here. You have a campaign that is just entirely astroturfed. They're getting crowds, it's true, but these are the same people that say crowd size doesn't matter. And to a large degree, they're technically right. The left is enthused for the first time in a while, but again, they're not exactly winning over the median voter, and they're not even trying. In the first attempt, they really try to galvanize some voters. They just steal a policy proposal from Trump. It just comes off as fake, and it doesn't work. Plain and simple, it just does not work. If she was genuine, she could do it in an instant, but we know that's not going to happen. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.